Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes.
Then we're going to tell you a story called The Great Silent Grandmother Gathering by Sharon Mighty.
Once there was a busboy who worked in a cafe with the window facing the public park. And he noticed that two grandmotherly-looking women had been standing in the park all day without moving at all and without talking. They were dressed up in their Sunday best, and they were just staring at the town hall. He asked the other patrons in the cafe what they thought the women were up to. They speculated on a variety of things.
Then a 5-year-old girl who was in the cafe spoke up and said, "One of them is my grandmother, and I know what they are doing. They are standing there to save the world." All of the people in the cafe laughed and laughed.
On his way home, the busboy decided to ask the women what they were doing. And sure enough, their answer was, "We are saving the world." Over dinner that evening, the busboy told his parents, and he and his father laughed, but his mother was totally silent.
The next morning, the busboy looked out the cafe window, and the two women were back, along with his mother, her friends, and the women who had been in the cafe all the day before. All were standing in silence, staring at the town hall. Again, people in the cafe laughed and said things like, "You can't save the world by standing in the park. That is what we have armies for." And everyone knows you have to have banners and slogans to save the world. You can't do it by standing in the park.
The next day, the women were joined by the women who were in the cafe the day before, and a number of their friends. This brought the local newspaper reporter to the scene. He wrote a mean article about the women. The day after it appeared, hundreds of women showed up to stand in the park in silence.
The mayor then told the police chief to make the women leave because they were making the town appear foolish. When the police chief told them they would have to disperse because they didn't have a permit, one of them responded, "We are just standing in a public park, and we are not giving speeches or having a demonstration, so why would we need a permit?" The police chief thought about this and agreed with them and left the park.
The story ends with 2,223 women, including the mayor's wife, the police chief's wife, and one 5-year-old girl standing in the park to save the world.
Children, on May 13, 2007, at 1 p.m., your local time, we plan to stand in the park to save the world. And we want you to invite you and your friends to stand with us. Will all of you stand with us?
Yes.
When we stand together, we will stand for the world's children and grandchildren and for the 7 generations beyond them.
We dream of a world where all of our children have safe drinking water, clean air to breathe, and enough food to eat.
A world where children have access to a basic education to develop their minds and health care to nurture their growing bodies.
A world where they have a warm, safe, and loving place to call home.
A world where they don't live in fear of violence in their home, in their neighborhood, in their school, or in their world.
This is the world of which we dream. This is the cause for which we will stand.
The women of Ohio, U.S.A. are asking the women of the world to stand with us on May 13, 2007 at 1 p.m. your local time, and to bring with you all of the children and all of the men in your lives who you care about. We ask you to stand in silence for 5 minutes and think about what you individually and we collectively can do to attain the world of which we dream. Will you stand with us?